Okay, Rabotai, we are on page Chaf Zayin Amud Bet 27b3. So, my friends, in advance, I'm going to let you know that we have some interesting, colorful topics coming up. Let's go. Says the Gemara. You're allowed to sell the Bet HaKnesset in a permanent way, except that it's not allowed to be used for those 4 inappropriate sale destinations. And what were they, if you remember? Merhat, bathhouse; Bursaki, which is a tannery; Tevila, mikveh; or the Bet HaMayim. Machloket, if Bet HaMayim means a laundry, or if it means a bathroom, we'll see now. Says the Gemara. So, again, remember, according to the Chachamim, if you sold it permanently, even if you had everybody involved, what would that mean then? That you could use it for anything except for something as degrading as this. Okay? Comes along Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda takes us one step further. If you remember, Rabbi Yehuda says, hold on, if you sell it, and you sell it in a way where there's a stop-off between your sale and the usage. So in other words, I sold it to you, what do you want to do with it? To make a fairgrounds. I sold it to you to make a falafel store. And now you, having bought a falafel store, decide to make it into one of these degrading things. Not a problem. Why? Because the problem is in our sale, us as the representatives of Bet Knesset. How could we show it the disrespect to sell it for that? Once we've sold it as something else, it's now not that anymore. You are now deciding, as the buyer, to take a falafel stand and make it into a bathroom. No problem. So Rabbi Yehuda has a stringency over the Chachamim, and he has a leniency over the Chachamim. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Mutar la'adam lashtin mayim mitoch daled amot shel tefillah. Person is allowed to go to the bathroom to urinate within 4 amot of where he is praying. So, just to be clear, what does it mean 4 amot? Anytime we're talking about in the Gemara of the concept of a space is always 4 amot. How much is an amma? Amma literally means an arm. Okay, that's what the pasuk says about Batya. Vatishlach et amata, and she sent her arm. Okay,
4 amot would be this.
So 4 amot is basically from the elbow until the top of the hand. So there's a basic machloket what that shiur is supposed to be, what the average amount is supposed to be, and the shiurim range from 1.5 feet to 2 feet. Okay, so daled amot is, if you're going strict, it means 8 feet.
He walks on 6 or 7 feet outside.
Excellent. So what Adin is saying is, the example is when we're talking about a situation like levaya. So if someone comes to your house as a guest, you're supposed to walk them out of your house. How much is the shiur? Daled amot. But there's many things that are daled amot. When you put on tefillin, how long you have to put your tefillin on? Kidei shiur hiluch daled amot. The amount of time it takes to walk 4 amot, which means that putting on tefillin really only takes a few seconds. Okay? That's the halakha. So, a daled amot is always, this is one spot. More than daled amot away from that item, from that object, that's already somewhere else. So, outside of daled amot, of course you're allowed to go to the bathroom on the same block as the synagogue. The question is, within 4 amot, are you allowed to do it? The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yosef, Ma kamash malan. What are you telling us? Why do you have to tell us this? Tanina, we learned already in the Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Mochrin otah l'shum chatzer." You're allowed to sell it as a chatzer. V'lokeach ma sheyirtzeh ya'aseh. And the person who purchases the falafel stand courtyard from you can do whatever you want with it. V'afilu Rabbanan, and even the rabbis, lo ka'amri ela bet hakneset dekvia kedushateh. The rabbis that said that it couldn't be one of those 4 uses, they only said it dekvia kedushateh, where it's the kedusha is a permanent kedusha. Aval daled amot de lo kavia kedushateh, but 4 amot away from the Beit Knesset. In other words, even 1 inch away from the Beit Knesset, that's not the Beit Knesset. So in other words, what we're first proving, they would also hold no. Again, one more time. What are they proving? First of all, we're saying, look, Rabbi Yehuda says, you sell it as a chatzer, then it becomes something else. So you're allowed to you do any of the four things. One of the four things was bet hamayim. So it's a derogatory usage. One of the opinions was that refers to a bathroom. So the Gemara is saying, if we see that there's an opinion that says that you could go to the bathroom in this space of the Bet Knesset, when it's removed from the Kedusha of the Bet Knesset, because it was sold, the Gemara is comparing the post-sale Bet Knesset space to the adjacent space to a Bet Knesset. One is perhaps adjacent in space, and one is adjacent in time. But they're adjacent to Kedusha, okay? Now the Rabbanan, they held that you're not even allowed to use that place even after the sale as a bathroom. So you see that they held, but that's only the Bet Knesset, not outside of the space of the Bet Knesset. So why did you need to tell me that 3 amot away from Tefillah, I'm allowed to go to the bathroom? What's the chidush? The Gemara says, Tana kamed Rav Nachman. A Tana explained the Braita in front of Rabbi Nachman. Now, what does that mean? Rav Nachman himself, okay, was a Amora or Tana? Rav Nachman is Amora. First of all, one of the tricks, which almost always works, is if the person's name is Rav, Amora. Rabbi, Tana. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai.
So the answer
Rav
to the question
usually means Amora. So what does it mean that a Tana said over a Braita in front of Rav Nachman, if Rav Nachman was an Amora? So sometimes you have this with people who lived right at the turning point. Who did we say already? Let's see if anyone remembers. Was right at the turning point between Amora and Tana. Anyone remember?
No.
Well, think of the clue that I just gave you. What was the clue that I gave you? What makes you an Amora? If you're called? Rav. Who is the person? Rav is the turning point. That's a really easy way of remembering that. And in fact, many times the Gemara says, Rav Tanahu Upalig. So Rav and Shmuel lived right at that point where they were the students of Tanaim and they were the rabbis of Amoraim. Isn't that interesting? So the Gemara will ask a question on Rav from the Mishnah, and the Gemara is going to then say back to the Gemara's questioner, you're bringing a Mishnah against Rav? Rav's the Tana. He could also argue. So Rav is right at that turning point. So how could it be? Who are we talking about? That Rav Nachman, they said over a Braita in front of Tana said over a Braita in front of Rav Nachman. The Gemara, the Chachamim explained that to mean that someone who was always relating Braitot and the Mishnayot of the Tanaim said in front of Rabbi Nachman. You understand? So that it's referring to an Amora who was always saying over Braitot. We actually already had this previously with the idea that there were some people that were experts in repeating the Braitot. Either way, Tana kamed Rav Nachman. Tana said a Braita in front of Rav Nachman, as we said already what that means. Someone who is praying, he needs to go 4 amot away and go to the bathroom. And someone who's going to the bathroom, marchik dalit amot umitpalel. If he goes to the bathroom, he should then, if he needs to pray, move 4 amot away from the place that he actually went to the bathroom. Okay? Now, the Gemara says, Amale, Rav Nachman said to this person, Bishlema hamashtin marchik dalit amot umitpalel. If someone went to the bathroom, he then needs to move 4 amot from when he went to the bathroom. Why? Tanina. Because we learned, Kama yachik mehen umin hatzoah. How much does a person need to move away from excrement or going to the bathroom that he did? Dalet amot. So once you went to the bathroom, to pray there is inappropriate. So you now need to move to a new space. How do we define a new space always in halakha? Dalet amot. Ela hamitpalel. But if someone is praying, marchik dalid amot umashtin. But if someone who's prayed, he should move 4 amot from the place that he prayed and then go to the bathroom. Lamali. Once he already finished praying, right? Ihachi, if so, kidashtinu lekuli shvili dinarda. Everybody, people have prayed in every place, right? So what are you going to do? Every time someone prays somewhere, you can no longer go to the bathroom in that place or 4 amot around it. Praying somewhere makes it a place that's asur to go to the bathroom. Can't be, right? So when you went to the bathroom, it's inappropriate for you to pray in this place because you know this is here. It's not kavod for me to pray in the place where, where I... But when someone prayed somewhere already, now I have to move away, then any place, anywhere, right? I always think to myself of this Gemara when I think of El Al. Because where do they have the minyanim? Always by the bathrooms. Okay, let's carry on. Rav Nachman says, Tani, Yisheh. Rather, what does it mean? What's it called? That he should distance himself from the tefillah. Doesn't mean that he should move away geographically, but rather in time. And what the time does he give you? The time of Daramot. So you're going to the bathroom, you want to go to the bathroom, obviously, let's say a person really needs to go. Halacha is you're not allowed to hold it in. That's the halacha. Right. It's a isur from the Torah. Yeah. If you really need to go to the bathroom, you must go. It's called bal tishaktu. Okay, it's something which is like considered disgusting. So, obviously we're not talking about a case where a person is desperate to go. If he's so desperate to go, by the way, he's also not allowed to pray. Right. If you're in a situation where you're desperate to go to the bathroom, you're not fit to pray in that. You have to go to the bathroom first, and then you can pray. But if you could wait 72 minutes, then you're able to pray even if you feel like I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom soon. Okay, so the Gemara says Tanish. It means that you need to wait, which means that you don't need to distance yourself from it. Now that we've changed that, let's see how we read it. Okay, now we're looking back at the Braita that we just changed according to Rav Nachman's change. Mashtin, a person who goes to the bathroom, he should wait for amot, the time that it takes to walk 4 amot. Why does he do that? Because even after the guy went to the bathroom, if it's not completely off of the person's body, there might still be drops from the person going to the bathroom that are on his body. So you should wait time so that everything is gone, so that he's in the cleanest possible state to pray. Now I already prayed. Why would I be obligated now to wait the amount of time to walk 4 amot? I'm already done. The Gemara answers, Amar Rav Ashi shekol dalet amot tfilato sedura befiv. Why? Because the 4 amot that the person has from where he's praying to where he's leaving, he's still saying words of tefillah. It's kind of like when the person's leaving the Beit Knesset, they're still saying, they're saying with their tefillin, they're already walking out. Right? So maybe here is a proof from the Gemara that people are leaving as the end comes because they're still, but who knows, maybe they're talking about the Misha Berach. Maybe they're talking about the Misha Berach of Refuah Shlema. So anyway, but the point is the Gemara says that when a person is praying, until they until we give ourselves like an extra couple of seconds, there's still words of tefillah being said. So the person should not go to the bathroom right away until he's completely done with his tefillah, which is usually the amount of time that it takes to walk 4 amot. Which again, as I said, how long does it take to walk 8 feet? 2 seconds? 3 seconds? We're not talking about a significant amount of time. Okay. Says the Gemara, Zalfan Siman. Now, this is an interesting siman. Okay, what does it mean? Again, it's a little bit of a funny siman to be talking about in the Gemara, and that's why I started by telling you that this Gemara is a little bit colorful. Mizalef means to pour, right? Zalfan. So a zalfan is a person who's pouring.
It says to spray. Yeah.
Sorry?
To spray.
What do you mean? Yes, to spray.
Spray.
In other words, when you're pouring and you're
spray,
like splattering. Okay, I tried to use a little bit
Yeah.
nicer words, but zalfan, that's what the word means. So therefore, what does zalfan mean? Rashi says on the word zalfan. Where can I find it? All right. I don't remember where. Either way, the siman of the Gemara is zalpan, and why is that the siman? The siman is zakai, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, right? Then Lazar, right, which is Rabbi Elazar, which we saw in this discussion. Preda and Nechunya. These four people are the ones that are now going to tell us the halachot that are coming. Let's take a look at zalfan. So sprayer, all right? Who's the first one? Shalu Talmidav et Rabbi Zakai. The Talmidim asked of Rabbi Zakai, not Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, Rabbi Zakai. Bameh erachta yamim. How did you extend your days? How did you live very long? Amar lahem, he said to them, Mi amai lo ishtanti mayim b'toch dar amot shetefilah. I was always so respectful of my place of prayer that I never went to the bathroom in the area near the prayers. Now, again, remember, according to Rav Nachman's amendation, what does that mean? Not in space, but in time. Okay? So Rav Zakkai is telling us this, and if you follow what we learned from Rav Nachman, what will that mean? That means in time. Okay? Says the Gemara. Sorry, excuse me. So that would be Rav Nachman, but Rav Nachman is telling you what the halacha is. Rav Zakkai is telling you why he was zocheh to live long. He did something extra. What was his extra credit? His extra credit was in the space. Because remember we said, it can't be that you're going to make every place you prayed asur, because then every place in Naharda is asur. Right. So that means it will be mutar. Rav Zakkai, he was zocheh to long life because he did both. The halacha and the extra strict thing. And I never made a nickname for my friend. We've discussed this already many, many times. Okay? We said that a person makes a bad nickname for their friend. Okay? Let's say as an example, the person one time went to the bathroom in their pants. And from then on, the guys call the guy Pants. Okay? And it's a funny, and it's a joke, and maybe the guy himself also eventually kind of laughs about it. That's Mekaneh Shem Ra L'Chavero.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. The guy's cheap, you call him cheapskate. You know? Whatever it is. Any nickname that a person does not like because it reflects badly on him or her, okay, would be Mekaneh Shem Ra L'Chavero. If you have a nickname for someone and the person feels like it's a name that you give to a kid, right? Like, let's give you a crazy example. The guy's name is Jacob, and they call him Jackie, right? I have a friend who doesn't like the fact that people call him Sammy, Jackie. Why? Because now I'm an adult, I want to be taken seriously. My name is Samuel. My name is Jack. My name is Isaac, not whatever, Ike. That was when I was a kid. Sammy was when I was a kid. Yankee was when I was a kid. Now I'm Jack, I'm Yaakov. If the guy doesn't like it, you're not allowed to call him that name. Right. The Gemara over here is saying, Lo kiniti shem l'haveri, not a negative name, because that everybody has to do. He's talking about even any nickname. I was careful always to call a person by their actual name. Velo bitalti kiddush hayom, and never did I not have kiddush on the day of Shabbat. Now let's be clear, because again, on Shabbat a person has an obligation to make kiddush. So if we're discussing over here practices that are above and beyond, why is this something that we're saying? Oh, he did the mitzvah of kiddush. Everyone has an obligation to do the mitzvah of kiddush. So what's the answer? It means that he didn't do kiddush in a less preferred way. So there's things you can make kiddush on which are okay halachically, but not as good as wine. So as an example, you're allowed to make kiddush on bread. You're allowed to make kiddush on scotch. On Shabbat, you're allowed to. You have to say shehakol nara gefen, obviously, right? Even if it's in a sherry cask. But still, the halacha is that you're allowed to. Rabbi Zakkai is saying, you know why I lived long? Because I always respected Shabbat afternoon to make kiddush on wine. She biflage, right? Anyone wants to live long, let's go. Rabbi Zakkai says, what does that mean? Ima zekena haytali. I had an elderly mother, okay? Pa'am achat machra kippah sheberosha. She had like a covering, a hair covering, she sold it. Ve'hevia li kiddush hayom. And she bought, with the covering, the hair covering, she bought me a cup of wine. Unbelievable. Tana, we learn, Kishemeta, she passed away, Hinicha lo gimel meot garbi yayin. She left over to her son, the son that she had to sell her hair covering for, to get him that kiddush for wine. She left him over 300 barrels. In other words, she became incredibly wealthy. Kishemetu, when he passed, Hiniach lebanav shlosht alafim garbi yayin. When he passed away, 10x'd it, and he left 3,000 barrels of wine to his children. And when his children passed away, they were all drunk. No, I'm joking. Okay, so you see, the Gemara is telling you that he was rewarded for the kavod that he had for this mitzvah. The Gemara continues a story about Rav Huna. This is unbelievable. One of my favorite stories. Rav Huna have asar reta v'kai kameh derav. Rav Huna, his pants, he didn't have a belt on, right? He didn't have leather. He had made out of grass, like reeds, holding up his pants. Now, it's not clear that he was holding up his pants because they might not have been wearing pants. It might have been like a robe, like a belt around a robe. But the point is, he had a belt made out of grass. Amar le, he said to him, "My high, what is this?" Amar le, he said, Prada. No, Amar le, he said, Lo haveli kiddusha. I did not have wine for kiddush. Umashkante lehemyanye. So I gave away the regular belt that I have. I took it to the pawn shop, okay, and I gave it as a mashkon. All right, mishkante lehemyane ve'atai be kiddusha. And I took a couple pennies and I bought some grape juice for wine. Amar le, he said, Yehera ava de titum bishirai. You should be completely, may it be Hashem's will, that you should be completely covered and wrapped in silk. Silk was incredibly rare back then, incredibly expensive, because remember, they didn't have what we have, the production. It was also not something that was done in a locale, right? They didn't have the Silk Road, etc., etc. Ki ikalel rabba bere, when he made a wedding for his son, Rabba bar Rav Huna, famous one of the Amoraim. Rav Huna inish gutzahava. He was very short, okay? Gana apuraya. There was a little bed over there, a couch that they had at the wedding hall, and he decided to take a quick nap before the wedding. Lies down on this bed, this really short guy. Atyan banteu kalate. His daughters and his daughters-in-law come. Shalechan ushadian manayu aleh. When they came into the wedding, they took off their silk coats and they start throwing it on the couch, not even seeing the short Rav Huna on the couch. Ad titum bishirai, until he wakes up and he's completely covered in silk. He got so wealthy that now his daughters and his daughters-in-law just chucking all their silk coats on top of him, and he's covered in silk, and the bracha becomes true. Shama Rav, when Rav heard the story, he was upset. Amar, he said to Rav Huna, "My ta'ama lo amrat li ki berachticha." Why didn't you say when I blessed you? V'chen lemar. So too for the master. You too. If all you would have said at that moment was, "You too," I would also be blessed. I would also have wealth. Obviously, it was a time of Of shata kosher. A time of beracha, the gates of heaven were opened because my beracha for you became true. All you needed to say was, "You too," and then I would be rich too. I always found this from Rav very interesting. So first of all, one of the things you learn is that whenever someone gives you a bracha, you should say,
You too.
you too. Hashtag,
So beautiful.
you too.
To
Okay?
to mirror.
This is why Sonny Bono's group became so popular, because it's called YouTube. No. Okay, not true. The Gemara says, let's take a look at Rashi, right halfway down the middle of Rashi.
Yes.
Af atat mevorach. You should have said, you too should be blessed. Lekach, right? Lekach shema haya et ratzon. Maybe it was a time of ratzon and shamayim, titkayem af bi, and it would be fulfilled also in me. Why do I find this Gemara so strange? Someone asked, tell me, why is it so strange? No, not just back, but also. That's not strange. What's strange over here? Let's go back to the beginning. Why does Rav Huna get a bracha from Rav? He does an act of Misirut Nefesh. He sells his actual belt for Kiddush. So Rav gives him a bracha. Rav had not done that tremendous act of Misirut Nefesh. One would imagine that the reason why the bracha came true for Rav Huna is because of Rav Huna's deed. So why is Rav saying, oh, you know what, maybe their gates are open, you should have said you too. But you didn't do what he did.
Right.
The answer is, it's true. Rav didn't do what Rav Huna did, but Rav did what Rav did. Rav also did whatever mitzvot he did. Potentially, and this is what I always think to myself, what mitzvah did Rav do that the beracha could have landed on? The fact that he gave the beracha to Rav Huna. So what was Rav Huna's mitzvah? That he sold his belt for Kiddush. What was Rav's mitzvah? That when he saw his student wearing the belt, he noticed the belt, he asked him about it, and when he heard the problem, what did he say? Not, oh, shrecha, oh, you're so good, nice guy, Shabbat Shalom. But he blessed him that he should have tremendous wealth.
Amazing.
So, just as we see from this story that it's a mitzvah, that it's important to say, you too, what else do we see? From Rav's side, that it's a huge mitzvah and a zechut, that when you see someone suffering, you don't just tell them, oh, I'm so sorry, commiserate, but also you give them a beracha in their moment of difficulty. Sha'alu talmidav et Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. The students of Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua asked him, why did you live so long? Amar lehem, he said, this is scary. I never turned the Bet Knesset into a shortcut. So that means you're on the porch of Safra for a Kiddush. Now you need to leave. What does everybody do? You walk through the shul. We have an entire shul walking through the shul all the time to leave the Kiddush. We're taking a shortcut from the porch. Someone said, Rabbi, how much to get down? There's a stairwell right there by the porch. Yes. Go down that stairwell. You didn't make the Bet Knesset a shortcut.
Wow.
What do you do if you're walking through the Bet Knesset? You sit down and you say, Ashrei Ashrei Betecha Od Yaducha, so you say a pasuk. The custom has become to say that pasuk. Why? Because listen what the words say. Ashrei, praiseworthy, Yoshvei Betecha, are those that sit in your house. Od Yahalucha Sela. Because what are they doing when they sat down? They said words of praise to you. So I didn't take a shortcut. What did I do instead? I sat down and I said words of praise to Hashem. Saying that pasuk instead of taking a kapandria shows that you're not willing to turn the Bet Knesset into something of an act of convenience for yourself. Mi amai lo asiti kapandria lebet Knesset. What else? Velo pasati al rashe am kadosh. Wow, wow, wow. What does this mean? Lo pasati. I didn't step on the heads of the holy nation. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, Kishahayu talmidim bet midrash. When the students were in the Bet Midrash, you see it about 7 lines on the bottom of Rashi.
I see kapandra.
Kishayu talmidim Bet Midrash. When they were in the Bet Midrash, al gabe karka, they were sitting on the ground. Haolech al gabe misivatan leshev limkomo nirah kipuseh rashi ha'am. So how did the people sit? They used to sit cross-legged on the floor. Now I'm the rabbi, I'm walking forward to the front, but as I'm walking amongst all the people that are sitting, what does it look like I'm doing?
I'm stepping.
I'm stepping on the people.
Like in Tisha B'Av.
Mi yamai, he says, in my life,
I never.
lo pasati al Rashem Kodesh. What is he telling us here?
It was respectable.
So again, but I don't think that's what he's saying. Why? Why don't I think that he's saying that I respected them? No, more than that. Come on.
It's Tish B'Av.
Sorry?
Where everyone's on the floor, it's Tish B'Av.
Yeah, Tisha B'Av is on the floor. But why? What is he saying that he did?
He never stepped over them, so
He stepped over their head. He didn't respect, just like you respect the shul and you don't cross in.
Yeah.
You don't cross over the people also because there's respect for them.
So again, let me be clear. What would you have thought he was saying? What's the language of the Gemara? Look, I did not step on the heads of the people.
Right.
What did Rashi just tell us?
Yes.
Obviously, we do not mean that he was saying, you know what, I'm such a good guy, I'm not a head stepper. I don't walk on the top of people's heads. Who does that?
Being above them.
So what did he say?
Being
What did he say? I want more than that, Jack. You're almost there.
like that he's superior.
What? Sorry, Stanley, what'd you say?
Humble.
Gava, that he wasn't arrogant.
Humble.
No. No.
You see?
Superior.
I want you guys to realize how big a chidush Rashi is making this. It doesn't say he didn't step on their heads. It doesn't say he didn't do something arrogant. He didn't do something that could look arrogant.
The
That is
appearance.
not the same thing.
Emmanuel, look alike.
Do you understand?
He said, I'm not going
Everybody
to
is sitting down. Why are they sitting down?
Like that, huh?
How come everyone's sitting cross-legged on the floor?
Unbelievable.
Why are they sitting there?
Because Amon, whatever.
No. Rashi again. Let's look again.
Because they are-
Why are they sitting on the floor? Kishayu at-talmidim bebet midrash. The students are studying in the bet midrash. Al gabe karka. Why are they sitting on the ground? That's where they sit. That's where they're studying.
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm walking by. Is that arrogant? I need to get to there.
Yes.
No.
But it's look like.
They're sitting over there. They're studying. Or maybe they're even coming to listen to a shiur by me.
Right.
Now I'm walking to where I need to get to walk to. Is there any other way for me to get from point A to point B other than walking there? No. And yet, what Rabbi Elazar ben Shamu is saying is, I considered that to be also something that I can't do. Because it looks like arrogance. Not it is arrogant. Arrogant is not extra credit. Arrogant is what everybody needs to be doing. But to have arichut yamim, you need to go above and beyond.
My wife said
Yeah.
etiquette.
Sorry?
Rabbi,
My wife
Yes.
said etiquette.
I
You
have a
don't do
question.
this.
So,
You
know
don't do
on
this.
Friday night, some people have a custom to stand up during Kaddish.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some people do, some people don't. Right?
Right.
Theoretically, if you're sitting down while other people are standing up during Kaddish, it could look arrogant.
Yes. Very similar.
So you're asking a good question. I think the answer to that is that everybody knows that the reason why this guy is standing and this guy is sitting is because there are different customs, and the custom is either to stand or to sit. Right? If the idea was that without any rhyme or reason, right, I'm standing over this guy when he's sitting, right? And that looks arrogant, then let me flip it, by the way, for a second. Let's say everyone in the synagogue was not Persian, Syrian, Ashkenaz, Moroccan, Israeli. Everyone in the synagogue is Syrian. The rabbi is doing something, and this guy in the shul, he's more religious than the rabbi, so he's doing something better than the rabbi is doing. In the Gemara, that's called yuhara, which means arrogance. Because I know you're Syrian, I know everyone here is Syrian, why are you doing something the rabbi's not doing? I'm more religious than the rabbi. That's called in halakha yuhara, which means arrogance. Okay? So when you're doing above and beyond what everyone else is doing, arrogance. But now, when Am Yisrael is a melting pot, and people do not understand this, people want to know, how come we don't find this in halakha, that in halakha? Up until now, everyone in Syria was Syrian. Everyone in Russia, Russian. Everyone in Germany, German. Everyone in any given city had the same minhag as everyone else in that city. It's only now where we had this mass exodus from every Arab country, right? And they're moaning about displacement and colonial settlers. It's unbelievable. They banished us from every land. We're the only colonial settlers where the people living in our country are now 10 times more than they ever were. Every other Arab country has infinitesimal percentage points of Jews that used to be there. Same thing about European countries. So we've been banished everywhere else, and everyone else in the world is telling us, how dare you banish them? Which we've not even done. It's crazy the darkness we live in. Okay? But be that as it may, right? We live in the first time where you have this melting pot of every possible Jew living in the same neighborhood. In America, in Eretz Israel. Okay? Clear? Al tifrosh min hatzibur is a separate question. Is in being part of the tzibur of their halakha. There's a separate halakha which is related to yuhara, which is about acting in a way which is ga'ava. There's a question brought down: is a person allowed who's not a big talmid chacham? Are they allowed to wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin? A lot of people put on one pair. Oh, I'm going to put on 2 pairs. Really? You're about teshuvah for 3 minutes. Now you're putting on Rabbeinu Tams? Do you have everything else in your house in order that you're putting on? You're going the extra level here? Chamuvadia says, not true. Person wants to put on Rabbeinu Tam. It's already widespread enough that it's not yuhara, it's not arrogance. So that halakha of Chamuvadia Stanley addresses this point as well. Okay?
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Let's continue. So what's his last secret for longevity? V'lo nasati kapai be'lo beracha. This is unbelievable. Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, okay, he was a Kohen. And before the Kohanim do their beracha, right? Before they do the beracha of Yivarecha Hashem Yishmerecha, the Kohanim also have a beracha, okay? Now, is a Kohen obligated to say that beracha before Birkat Kohanim? Shekisham Tzlav Tzivanu, right? He commanded us to bless Varech Amo Yisrael be'ahava. Every Kohen says this.
You're saying he's not obligated.
Well,
It's not in the Torah.
you'd imagine, Jack, like Jack is pointing out, if it's telling us that he gets extra credit life years, must be its extra credit mitzvah, like we said by every other one. But the halacha actually is that every Kohen needs to say the beracha before the beracha. So what's Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua saying? One of the opinions is that it's true. It's not extra credit, but it's extra credit as compared to everyone else in Am Yisrael. What percentage of Jewish people is Kohanim?
Who isn't now is also an issue.
Yeah, excellent point. Because we don't necessarily know everyone if they're legit. But let's say we're assuming that the ones that say they are. What is it, 10%? Maybe. If you go to Sephardic communities, much larger number. Ashkenaz community, much smaller number. Right? Sometimes you're Birkat Kohanim in the synagogue, there'll be 30, 40 Kohanim. You go to Ashkenaz synagogues, many times with a full synagogue, there's 2 Kohanim. Okay? Now, and that, by the way, is also an element of geography, where the Kohanim used to live. They lived together in cities for the Kohanim. So when they exiled, they also went to places together. So it makes sense that they would be going in larger numbers to one place or to another. Anyway, point is, so the Kohanim are saying this beracha. Says Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, you know why I merited long life? Because every time I'm a Kohen, and I said the beracha before the beracha. Okay? That is simple understanding of what Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua is saying, and therefore, that's actually an element of longevity that's given to any Kohen that says the beracha of Birkat Kohanim before the beracha of Birkat Kohanim. Okay? I saw in this Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua a different understanding than that. What did he mean when he said, I always give the beracha before Birkat Kohanim? The bracha of Birkat Kohanim is Yivarech Hashem Yishmerecha, Yireh Hashem Panav V'Edecha. The mitzvah is to bless the Jewish people. But what's the beracha? Levarech et Amo Yisrael be'ahava. Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua was saying about himself.
No, I know, because the guy.
Right?
This guy not doing
What was he saying about himself? That whenever I give the beracha Birkat Kohanim, I'm not just fulfilling the mitzvah, I'm actually giving it with love.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know why I merited long life? Because when I lifted my hands to bless the people, I lift my hands like the beracha says. I bless with that love, and therefore that's why he was zocheh to extra life. Okay,
Exactly.
let's.
Isn't there a halakha with Kohanim?
Nothing
If he has a bad
is
feeling towards
obvious.
anyone in the Kahal, he's not allowed to
Thank
give
you,
the
flying
birkat
with
Kohanim.
us.
Oh, so Stanley is asking a great question. Stanley is asking if a Kohen hates someone
This is what I told you.
in the shul,
You
he's
cannot
not allowed to bless.
Not allowed to bless.
But Stanley, what's the difference? You're asking from the negative, from the zero line down. That's, I hate someone. Then he can't bless.
You're
What if I'm zero?
Not allowed to.
What if I'm zero? Or what if I don't necessarily love or hate anyone in the community, but I want to do the mitzvah, I'm a Kohen, I go up there, I have to do the beracha. Most Kohanim are thinking when they go up, I have the obligation to do this, mitzvah to do this.
Right,
I'm going to go do the thing.
I don't care.
But what Rabbi Elazar ben Shamu, I think, is communicating with us is he's saying, no, you should walk up there like a father blesses their son Friday night. Do you think when you bless your kid, oh, it's a mitzvah to bless my kid? Or do you think,
Depends on the kid.
do you think, do you bless the kid? Hashem, please. Some of the kids you say, stop being you. Right, you're blessing the kid. Please, Hashem, protect this child. Let him be the best that he could be. Let him let him have all the berachot. You bless with that love in your heart. So just like a father's blessing his kids with that love, the Kohen is supposed to bless not just without animosity, not just with a ratzon to fulfill the mitzvah, but to bless be'ahava, to bless with love.
What if you're not, you don't hate someone, but someone did something and you're mad at them, you're upset
Right,
with
the
them?
business. Let's assume you to use this point.
If someone is upset at the person to the point where they don't want that person to have blessing, they're not allowed to do Birkat Kohanim.
Told you.
Same halacha, by the way, about Shaliach Tzibur. Did you know that? It's not just Kohanim. What if you're a Chazan? And you go up and you see this guy and he ripped you off, and you're like, you know what? I'm fulfilling everyone's obligation except for that guy. You didn't fulfill anyone's obligation. You're not allowed to be Shaliach Tzibur.
Shmuel, I need
Okay.
to go to Shmuel.
Yeah, you need to go to everybody. It's not just Shmuel, everybody. Okay, let's just finish this the last example of this. Sha'alu Talmidav et Rabbi Preda. The students asked Rabbi Preda, why did you, wow, Avi, you need to stay for this line. They asked Rabbi Preda, why did you live a long life? Amar lehem, he said, Mi amai, in my life, lo kidamani adam bet HaMidrash. No one came before me to the Bet HaMidrash. He made sure he was the first person in the Bet HaMidrash. So, and on that note, you can, okay? V'lo berachti lifnei. Lo berachti lifnei Kohen. I never said Birkat HaMazon in front of a Kohen. Yani, there's a Kohen sitting over there. I don't say, Rabotai nevarech, take the zimun. I always honored him. And never did I eat from an animal that they did not give. There's a special part of the animal you have to give to the Kohen, that they did not give that tirumah to the Kohen. Okay? Now, the Gemara is going to go into those things, but the last one of Rabbi Nehunya we'll study Be'ezrat Hashem next time. Baruch Hanei Le'olam. Amen.